Hi everybody. Um, I wanted to do a video tonight. There were 3 things I wanted to discuss. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about was waves. Um, One of the things about waves that I want people to understand, because a lot of people don't understand waves. Well, I should say this. One of the things that we talk about when talking about healing in waves is we describe waves as your symptoms going away, and that's not true. That's not what happens in the beginning. I wanted to explain this because I've been talking with some people, and their understanding of waves is that you just start to feel better, and then you might feel a little bit bad again, and then you start to feel better, and that's not how it goes. It doesn't go like that. It doesn't go here you're at your terrible baseline here, and then you feel better, then you feel a little worse again, and then you feel even better. That's not how it works. That's not how it worked for me, and that's not how it's working for me now. Um, for me now, I am healing in this wave pattern that when my first windows started, um, my very first windows were very so if I was at a 10 that day, um, like the worst I've ever been, like couldn't get out of bed, could barely use the restroom, just laid in bed in horrific terror, um, my windows would be a little less horrific terror, then back to terror. That's exactly how my windows were in the beginning stages of my healing. So it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this um, progression. It wasn't even like a normal roller coaster. The levels, the intensity of my windows really changed all the time, and they still do. I have windows where I feel great. Like, I feel happy, I feel great gratitude, I feel safe, I feel wonderful. And then I have windows where I don't feel great, but I don't have as many symptoms. So my windows changed in the way that I started healing. So when you get your first windows, I spoke with somebody today who had a first really good window in about a month. She had it for 3 hours, and then she said, "Oh my gosh, my window's closing and I'm crashing down again." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrific." Um, I had to explain to her, when my first windows came, when my first healing windows came, my waves were worse. Like, it's almost like this rebound effect. It's like you feel terrible, right? You're in this wave of feeling like crap, and then symptoms start to lessen, and then instead of going back to where you previously were, you shoot way up. So it's almost like this rebound effect. That's how it worked for me. I had a rebound effect when my healing really started. So if you start to feel better and then you start to feel worse than you did before you started feeling better, that's normal. That's what happened to me. I remember saying to myself, this is like some kind of sick joke, that I started feeling better, and then all of the sudden I'm getting I'm feeling way worse. Like, it went it went like that. So um and then the member asked me, she said, "Do people understand that you start to feel worse after windows?" And I was like, "A lot of people don't." So a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that you start to feel worse after those beginning waves. At the beginning of your healing, you might feel worse than you ever had. Like, that's how I felt. I felt worse than I ever had. I went straight into this, crashing down into this ditch of just this worse. So I don't want you to be, when you say that you don't have a window, rethink when you write that when we see people write things that they say, "Well, I've never had a window." That might not necessarily be true, because I would always rate my feelings on a 1 to 10 scale. I kept track of them. And when I was at my worst, every 15 minutes, I would say, okay, I'm at a 10. I'm suicidal. I'm in bed. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to move. The psychotic terror has gripped me. I can't function. I can't use the restroom. I can't walk barely. And I'm at a 10. And then 15 minutes, that whole, I can't do it anymore. I can't take this anymore. I would pray, please give me cancer. Take me. It was so much. And then I would go from that to, and I would track like every 15 minutes. And sometimes it would take a while. It would take like an hour or so to 9. So I would go from 10 to 9. And I would say, okay, I'm not at 10. I still feel just as bad as I did an hour ago, but it's a little less intense. I can distract a little bit better now. So I might be at a 9 now. That's a window. You still might feel suicidal in your windows, and you still might feel terrible in your beginning windows, but they're windows in the sense that there is a lessening of the symptoms. It doesn't mean your windows don't mean the symptoms just go away. That's not what it means. It means just a little bit of a lessening of a window. You have to pay attention to those to survive this. Like you have to make note of it. I had to do videos. I have videos of this. In my videos, I would say I had to do these videos because when those windows go away, you question if you ever even had a window. You question, did I really feel better then? Am I sure? I don't even think that was a real window. I think that was, I don't think that was real. This is the thing. I would do these videos and I would look at myself in the camera and I would say, Jenny, remember this moment. You feel better. Remember this right now. You do feel better. And I would have to play those videos for myself to make sure that I said, okay, yes, I would have to go back and go, yeah, I really did have a window. I don't remember it. It doesn't feel now like I ever did. But because I have these videos, I have this video proof that I did have a window. And those videos really kept my hope up because I could look at them and say, yeah, I have moments of healings. I'm not going to write on a group board, I've never had a window in all of these years, because it's just not true. I did. I didn't remember those windows. I didn't think that they were, I didn't think that they were good windows. Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, journaling it is so important, because you have to be able to go back and go, and I remember I would even journal, I feel a little bit better today, but even in my waves, I would look at that and be like, no, I didn't feel better. But when I started doing the videos, I said to myself, remember this moment. Remember this. You feel better. Don't forget this. And I would have to look at these myself and go to my videos and say, yeah, like, okay, I have proof. I really did feel better then. So in your windows and waves, when we're talking about them, if you're always saying, I'm never having windows, not only are you putting this negative mental talk on yourself, but the negative mental talk then goes into the group also. And we're all sort of freaked out when we see other people don't ever have windows, or they have windows and then they start to feel worse again than they ever have, and we see all of these other things. So one of the things I want, and the whole reason why this group exists, is because I don't want it to get to a point where it's all about the suffering. Because when we are in a wave, everybody knows this. We need constant reassurance because of the way that fight or flight mechanism is turned on and firing in our brain. We need that constant reassurance. We need to be told a million times over, we're going to get better. We need to be told a million times over that we're going to be okay, that how we feel now is not forever, that we're not damaged, where the hope, where the healing stories. We seem to, and I think that this is very common, because if you look at depression, which we know is not a chemical imbalance myth, but we do know with depression there are certain neurotransmitters attached to certain feelings. So when you don't have enough dopamine or you don't have enough serotonin, we know through recreational drug use that those affect our moods. Or when we have a lot of serotonin, like MDMA or Molly, those affect your moods. They make you either super happy or super, when you're done tripping. For Molly, you hear about these people crashing into these deep, dark depressions. Well, when you're in a wave, you're going through something similar. You are experiencing a neurotransmitter issue, a rebound effect, a decrease, whatever it may be. So when you're in that state of a wave and you're feeling these really super negative emotions of needing constant reassurance, everything does seem dark. It seems like the darkest day you've ever had in your life, right? It's the most awful feeling that you've ever had in your life. And when you have those negative, awful feelings, you can't remember anything positive. That goes for normal depression. Not just akathisia, but just normal mental processes of depression. We don't see anything positive. We can't. I don't think we physically can. I don't know that we mentally can see any positivity in any way. So when you start healing, like as I'm not healed, but I'm healing. And that is a process that's going to take me a long time. And I hate to say it to people because it scares them. People think, well, I can't do this for years. When I was told that it was going to take me years to get better, I was in denial. I didn't want to believe it, and I said I couldn't do it. But here I am, and I am getting better. But I'm not healed. But I am in the process. I am in the process of going up and down. But my downs are not as long and as intense as they were in the beginning. So when I'm down, I'm not way down anymore. I don't seem to be. But when we are down, we can't see anything positive. We cannot see anything, any of our positivity, any of our windows. We don't notice it. Let me see Cheryl. Cheryl says, you're right. I walked through healing with two ladies, and I always knew when they were in wave, they would message me and go back to saying, I will never heal. Yeah, or get through this, and completely forget that they had a window. Yeah, we do. We all do that. We forget because we're in that mentally, those neurotransmitters, it looks so much like depression because that fight or flight mechanism is kicked on when we're in akathisia. So when you're in akathisia, when your fight and flight mechanisms are kicked on in nature, it takes all of your neurotransmitters and it depletes them. Because it wants to put all of the brain processes back to the back of the primal brain so you can think quick and run. So you don't have time to really rationalize. You're in the mode of like impulsively acting. That's another thing of the impulses when we're in a wave. You want to switch up your medication. You want to find something that's going to fix it. You want to take that away. I get it. I searched. I've probably spent, I don't know, $70 on supplements that are sitting in my house that are not used because they didn't work. Inositol. I mean, just these amino acids. I'm going to try these amino acids. Valerian tea. So many things. And they don't work. Because, let me see. Take more drugs to yes. Yeah. I felt like I was just saying, I spent $70 on supplements, and I also had the urge to try a new drug, for sure. I have it written in my journal all over Like, I'm going to ask my doctor for a new medication. I can't take this anymore. I'm going to ask him for a new medication. I can't take this anymore. And I remember I had said to somebody else, if I don't get better, if I don't start feeling better within this amount of time, I'm just going to go out and get some heroin and shoot up and go die somewhere, because I'm not going to live like this. I remember being in that state of mind. Yeah, like all the time I was like that. The thing is that when you're feeling like that, oh jeez, when you're feeling like that, you have to really dig in and really do that. How do I feel right now? Can I distract? Write down how you feel on a 1 to 10, and I would go every 15 or every 30 minutes and see, how do I feel in 30 minutes? How do I feel in an hour? How do I feel? Am I feeling any better at all? Because if you're feeling any better at all, then even in those moments of where you are impulsively want to jump on a new drug or try a supplement or do something else, hold yourself there, because you can make yourself worse. Whatever you have to be grateful for in that moment, it could be gone. So you just be as grateful as you can in that moment. I remember my moments being grateful that I could sleep. I was able to sleep. I was grateful. I said, well, I don't have insomnia right now. So since I don't have insomnia, I'm grateful that I can sleep. So I'm just gonna keep going. One of the things I did not do, I didn't change my medication. I didn't jump off my medication. I had the urge to jump off meds. I had the urge to try new meds, but I didn't. Luckily, I would go see my psychiatrist, who's amazing, and he understands akathisia, and he's helping me get off my medication, my Paxil. I would have to wait weeks before I would see him, and then I would feel a little bit better by the time I would go see him. So I think one of the things that saved me was not jumping around on meds, not going to alcohol or street drugs or anything like that. I know some people use marijuana, and if you do and it helps you, I would never say not to do it. If you are going to use something, my thing is be careful, because do your research, because it can make you worse, especially if it increases that serotonin. So I just want to remind you guys about the impulsivity when we're in a wave, the negativity that is there because of not having neurotransmitters, and videotaping yourself when you do feel better, so that you have the video. You can look back at your video and say, hey, okay, I really did feel better, a few days ago. I'm going to feel better again. When you're going up and down like that, that means your brain is trying to find stability. It's looking for stability. It's trying to heal. You have receptors repopulating every 7 to 12 weeks is how long it takes for your receptors to repopulate. If you're switching your drugs around in between then, what do you think is going to happen? Your brain needs that stability. You can't just go having your receptors, adding stuff on as those dopamine receptors are trying to fix themselves, and your serotonin receptors are trying to fix themselves, and your GABA receptors, whatever other drugs you may be on that have affected those neurotransmitters. So remember, it's 7 to 12 weeks. It takes that long. For some people, it takes longer. I'm convinced it might take 3 months. I'm convinced of that. Yes, Cheryl, windows are proof that you're healing. And that's why I think everybody should take note. And my waves in the beginning lasted for almost 2 weeks exactly. They last about 5 days now. But so when I know that when I'm going into a wave, I mark the end of 5 days, and I can look forward to that and go, okay, when 5 days, and it's almost cyclical. My windows and waves are almost like a cyclical pattern. Now the intensity of the window and the wave, that I don't have any control, I can't tell. I could have a terrible bedridden wave, or I could have a I'm not feeling great wave. And I could have a window where I feel amazing and a window where I feel like, okay, well, I just have a lessening of the symptoms. So keeping a journal, I think really, really, it does help. A video journal, I think, is more when you're in that wave. It's so hard for people to convince you that you're going to be okay. You need that reassurance over and over and over again, because you're in a state of fight or flight. You're in a psychotic mode of terror, you know? So a video diary, I think, can be so beneficial when you're healing, because you can look back on it and go, oh yeah, I feel like crap now, but I do remember that. So I'm going to hold and I'm going to wait. I know I have a window coming. I know that I do. So I think that that is one of the great things with healing, one of the things that we can do, and understanding the waves, and understanding the pain and the despair and the fear and the terror is unlike anything else you could ever begin to even kind of imagine. It's not even close. It is so unexplainable. It's so hard to find words for the way that I feel when I'm in that terror mode. But it is nothing. It's like having a nightmare while you're awake, and watching, and your mind is like it's sort of like being tortured alive. I think it's where your mind would go if you were held down and being tortured alive. I think it would feel something like that sort of terror. So you have to remember that in those moments, it is very, very difficult. And we only see the negativity. We only see the bad, because our minds are on constant alert. You're constantly looking. You're looking for danger. You're literally your mind is looking for danger because it wants to make sense of why it's feeling like that. So everything becomes dangerous. Everything. TV becomes dangerous. Lights become dangerous. Everything makes it intensify more. And then you start thinking intrusive thoughts and thoughts that make no sense. My stairs became, I became petrified, phobic of my stairs in my home because of that. So that phobic danger, fear, your mind is constantly looking for that. So then we go and post it to a group, and then all of the people who are feeling these same terror, fear, high alert things see that, and they automatically go, oh my God, now I have another thing to be afraid of. I'm already afraid of everything in my house and my surroundings and my world and the air. Like, the air to me scared me. Literally the air, everything scared me. So then I go and read these posts and from other people, and it made me more scared. So we have to be careful when we're posting, to be mindful of that, and when we're reading other people's posts, to be mindful of that. When we're reading somebody else's post, you have to take it as this person is in a heightened state of fear. They don't remember their windows, because I'm sure that they've had some. They'll tell you, and I would tell you too, oh, no, I really didn't. And I said the same thing at first, but I did. There's no windows. I'm never going to heal. I've been like this for years. And all of these things, when I have been struggling for the better part of 3 years. But yes, alcohol will make your akathisia way worse. Be careful with using anything. I've been struggling for 3 years, but let me preface that by saying, put it into context, I wasn't like this. I haven't been like this consistently. My very first year, I was 9 months straight of bad, but I did have windows. But I was bad. I did have windows, but they were lessening, very lessening of windows. So I started to get better and better and better the more I dropped my medication that was causing the akathisia. Then I started going through withdrawals. So I got withdrawal akathisia. And intrusive thoughts and all of the other withdrawal things came along with it. So I've had akathisia from being on Paxil and akathisia from coming off of Paxil. So I've had it both from being on the medication and from withdrawal. So I have it, and it does feel different. The withdrawal akathisia is definitely more scary, for sure. Without a doubt, 100%. Withdrawal akathisia is worse. It's scarier. So if you got it and you're slowly tapering and you think, oh God, I'm getting worse because this drug is in me, you're probably getting worse because you're tapering that drug. Anyways, that's what happened to me. So just slow your tapers. I know I had to slow mine, and it's so difficult. When you have a drug that's causing an adverse reaction, it's really, really difficult to slow your taper and take it, one step at a time, and push through the pain and push through the hell and push through the suffering. And because you're gonna make it, we're all gonna make it. Okay, there are some people who might not, but yes. Yeah, Alex. Yes. Yeah, you can, you do. I'm so glad that you brought that up, Alex. Oh my gosh. When me and my therapist were just talking about this. When my akathisia was at its worst, I would lay in my bed. My safe place is my bed. Now when I lay in my bed, I have anxiety attacks. It's just bizarre, and I have a total negative association with my bed now because of that's exactly what I did. The thing that made me feel better was laying in bed, so I did while I had akathisia, and now I'm struggling. I have to move my bedroom around. We're gonna try that to see if that will help. But yeah, I totally have an association with something that I used to love, like that made me feel safe. Now I feel like, I don't want to go in my bed, So yes, that's so true, and we do need the constant reassurance, because imagine if you're in a situation where you're out in the wilderness and a lion's gonna come and attack you, and you're a little kid, and you have the mom and the dad there fighting off the lion, and maybe another person there with you. You're gonna look to that person and say, hey, am I gonna be okay? Is the lion gonna get me? Are there still lions out there? You're gonna be your fight or flight's gonna go kick in, and you're gonna constantly be in that. I need reassurance. I need to know that I'm gonna be safe, because I sure don't feel safe. I don't feel safe at all, and that's one of the things that happens with akathisia. You don't feel safe ever. So keep that in mind when reading posts. Keep that in mind when you post. I want everybody to understand that when you post something and you're posting it, and we post when we feel our worst. We post out of fear. We post, we're frightened. We're desperate. We want help. We're reaching out. And so we're going to put the worst. We don't remember feeling better. We really don't remember that we ever felt better. And we really don't think that we ever will again. So when we're all posting like that, that is triggering everybody else, and it's creating a negative loop in your mind, because regardless, yes, we do have akathisia. No, there's not really much we can do about it. But one thing you do have control over at times is how you think. It's what goes on in your mind. And it doesn't have to be all happy-go-lucky, flowers and butterflies, everything's great. That's not it. But if you have to say, hey, I feel like I've never had a window. Let me go look at my videos. I need these now, because I know, I remember recording that when I did have a window. It can be helpful to you. It can be helpful to you, and to help you put things into perspective, that my fight or flight mechanism is engaged. I feel psychotic. I feel like I'm having crazy thoughts that make no sense. My brain is just, creating this crazy mental imagery and it's nonsensical, it's scary, and I feel like I'm losing my mind, I need to go look at my videos. It can help create context for you. It can help create context for everybody, so we don't all get sucked into this negative feedback loop in the group. And let's see. I think those were the things that I really wanted to talk about more than anything, was the constant reassurance, the way that we heal, and how it relates to the posts in our group, and how we can keep those even when we're reading somebody else's. We can look at it from a positive, in a positive way. No, not in a positive. We can look at it with context. We can go, okay, they are really suffering. They're really, really suffering, and they don't remember. So take their post with that. And not that this is going to happen to us and this is the end of the world for all of us. Because that's not what it means. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this video helps put some perspective. I mean, I don't know that. I don't know a whole lot about, about akathisia, in the sense that nobody does. So I'm just doing my best here, trying, having the support of the page and it triggering me. I had to take a break from it. Yeah, that's what I did. I had 2 other people that I chatted with. I have a group for myself in order to help me, and they are helpful. It's me and 2 other people in a private message, and I also stayed away from the support group pages because they scared me. They scared me all the time, and that's understandable. So I completely understand. That's another thing I wanted to do with this group, was have buddies, so that everybody always had somebody, and we were always in communication with 2 or 3. No, you should never have more than 4. I don't think, personally, from my viewpoint for healing, I don't think you should have more than 4 people in the group, only because it can become too much. I want people to be able to focus on one another and have real buddies right there with each other. So yeah, it can be triggering, and the reason why is because we're all in this fight or flight mode. We're all petrified of our surroundings, and when you're in that fight or flight mode, you cannot be, you think of it like depression. You cannot see anything positive in any kind of way. There's nothing positive. So try to remember that when you guys are posting, and I'm going to try to keep the posts that I think are triggering. I'm going to have to remove them because of that. I want you guys to ask for help, but when you're at your worst, I would like to have the help, and I said this before, have the help done in private group chats, because I think, first of all, that's more helpful. You get more one-on-one, and you're not putting a message out there to everybody else for people to wonder and go, oh my gosh, and have all of this bubble up and make your day even worse. Because I want it to be a support page, not a page for just saying I'm dying, I'm not going to make it, it's over for me, and all of this sort of sincere terror and horror that you're sort of spilling onto the page for everybody else. We all feel like that. Like, we all feel like it's over for us when we're in a wave. We all feel like we're dying when we're in a wave. We all feel horror and terror and torture is what it is. We all feel that. So I don't want this page to be a free-for-all. Living with akathisia is like that, and that's fine. But I think that negative feedback doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. I don't see it helping. For me, it doesn't. I'm sure there are people it helps. I shouldn't say that. I'm sure that there are people it helps. But for me, it doesn't. So I needed something that was also not triggering for me. Something that was also not going to upset me every time I went on and looked when I felt I needed to be heard or I needed support. So I'm going to try to sort of moderate the posts. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind when they do post. And if you see that your post was deleted because of me, please, and you were upset, please, you can message me anytime. Message me anytime about anything. I'm willing to listen to anybody's viewpoint, but if I think your post is just that, there's no context and it's just I'm suffering, I'm never felt better, I'm dying, this is the end of my life, it's over, that's not helping anybody. It's not helping you, it's not helping anybody else at all. But you can say, hey, I'm in a crisis, I need help, and I've made sure that every time somebody says that they're having a crisis that I've reached out to them personal message. And it's not easy because now I'm fielding hours of day, I'm spending hours of my day talking to or texting with other people, and I don't mind it because I think it's necessary for now. I would really like to get some volunteers of people who maybe can help in the future. But it's difficult. It's difficult to reassure somebody, but we need that. But we need to do that in a private, engaged situation. I feel that is more helpful. So, all right, now that I blathered on long enough about this, I hope that everybody is doing the best that they can, and take this video and rewatch it if you want, and really think about what's going on mentally when you're feeling your worst, so that you can make your own videos and hopefully they can help you in the future, and post them to here. If you're feeling good, take a video and post it here and say, hey, I'm feeling better. I'm actually feeling better. Let everybody know. Be, I think, hopeful for people, because people have been suffering for a long time. So, and don't forget, in the files section, there are books in there that I put up for you guys to read. Hopefully you guys can access those. Some of them I think are good books, and offer hope. And okay, I'm gonna end the video now, and I will take any questions that you guys have later on. Any suggestions for the group, let me know. I'm open to all suggestions, and you guys have a good evening. And I'm gonna go lay in my bed and have anxiety attacks. So have a good night.